Welcome back to the Spartan Journal. And by this point, if you don't know us, we are your go-to podcast for staying up to date and informed about the ever-evolving world around us. I'm your host, Shadi Khamis, and I'm joined by our executive editor, Alex Kaminski, along with our co-host, Rhattigan. Let's dive into the seventh episode of our series where we unravel the dynamics shaping our lives today. Today, we'll be evaluating a catastrophic mistake in a Tesla, Boeing stock prices, and the Federal Reserve addressing spikes in inflation. The date is March 10th, 2024, and you're listening to the Spartan Journal.
Here are this week's market evaluations. The S&P 500 is down by 8 points and almost 0.2% this week, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 259 points and 0.79%. And finally, the NASDAQ is down 227 points and 1.3% this week.
The Russell 2000 is down 4.91 points and 0.24% this week, while MSCI International is down 13.78 points and 2.44% this week. Lastly, Barclays Index is up 0.3 points and 3.46% this week. Now, this week, I don't have a stock of the week, but I would like to point out that Bitcoin had an insane comeback this week, reaching $68,000. This is the highest it's been since it crumbled back in 2022. Let's hope e-currency will stay on its feet with this great news.
Going into a catastrophic mistake from Tesla, a story of Angela Chow, a prominent business executive and CEO of a global shipping operation, unfortunately tragically died in a car accident recently at her Texas ranch house during a weekend celebrating the Chinese New Year with friends. What led to this was after mistakenly reversing her Tesla Model X into a pond. Chow tried calling for help, but despite efforts by friends, the ranch manager, emergency responders, they all couldn't help her out as she drowned within minutes. And this incident occurred while her husband was away in Dubai. Despite Chow's significant accomplishments and contributions to business and cultural communities, her sudden death has sparked baseless speculation and conspiracy theories, highlighting the challenges of navigating tragedy in the public eye. Now, transitioning this into more of a financial perspective, I want to touch on two big ideas that I took away from it, and one of them is impact on business operations. Angela Chow is the CEO of a major global shipping operation, and her sudden death could have immediate and long-term impacts on the company itself, leadership, strategic direction, and operations. In finance, leadership changes, especially unexpected ones, can affect the company's stock price, investor confidence, and market perception overall. Now moving on to the other one I was talking about, investment in safety and technology. Tesla having no safety and technology in that specific situation highlights the potential risks associated with advanced vehicle technologies, like those in Tesla cars, which can lead to discussions on the finance side regarding investments in safety technologies, research and development for more intuitive user interfaces, and finally, the impact of such investments on a company's financial health and its attractive to investors.
Great article, Shadi. I loved your approach on that. I just have one question. What are the main safety problems with Tesla, and how should up-and-coming electric vehicles combat that?
Yeah, to answer the first part of your question, I don't exactly know the main safety problems with Tesla, but I do know that other electric vehicles should definitely take this into account, understand what happened, and then definitely invest in their own research and development, find a way how they can avoid this conflict with their customers, and as a result, they might be able to take positions where Tesla missed out on.
Thank you, Shadi. This week, I'm discussing the finances of Boeing and how recent situations have affected their earnings. The recent investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board into the rudder control failure incident involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 in February has shed light on ongoing safety concerns surrounding the aircraft manufacturer. During the incident, a pilot reported struck rudder pedals during landing, prompting an investigation by the NTSB. While the situation didn't result in any accidents, it raised alarms, particularly after another United Airlines flight crew successfully replicated the issue during a subsequent test flight. Boeing responded promptly to the incident, collaborating with United Airlines to diagnose and address the problem. The resolution involved the replacement of 3 parts related to the rudder system. Despite Boeing's assertion to this was an isolated incident and the only report of such a rudder issue in a 737 MAX fleet. The occurrence adds to a string of safety and operational challenges faced by the company. Earlier in January, an Alaska Airlines flight experienced a door panel detachment issue, leading to the temporary grounding of specific 737 MAX 9 aircraft. These incidents, along with ongoing production delays, have led to significant investor unease. resulting in a nearly 1/5 decline in Boeing shares since the beginning of the year. The timing of these events is particularly concerning for Boeing, as it comes amidst a turbulent period for the company. With the aviation industry still reeling from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, stakeholders are closely scrutinizing Boeing's ability to address safety concerns and uphold its reputation as a leading aircraft manufacturer. The NTSB's ongoing investigation into the February incident will likely provide further insights into the root causes of the rudder control failure and any systematic issues that may exist within Boeing's manufacturer and maintenance processes. In the meantime, the company faces the challenge of restoring confidence among both investors and the flying public while navigating the complexities of modern aviation regulation and safety standards. Thank you to Investopedia and author Aaron McDade for the story.
Interesting article, Alex. I just have one question. I never knew what seemed as such a minute issue in this sector can turn into a drastic shock, and not only a financial side, but the overall reputation of Boeing. Which leads me into my question is, what do you think Boeing should focus on in the future with this implication?
That's a fair question, Shadi. So one thing that I have to think about is that one thing to note about this situation is to maybe question Boeing's confidence in their product. I believe that instead of focusing on their financial gains, they should put safety tests first and cost second. If they begin to do this after all of their recent problems, it could help them in the long run.
Thank you, Alex. I loved that article. Now here's my article titled, Here's Why the Fed Cares About the Cost of Your Haircut and Your Doctor's Visits. Now, before I say anything else, I just want to start off by saying anytime I say the Fed, I'm referring to the Federal Reserve, and anytime I say rates, I'm talking about interest rates. Now, the Fed's job is to control and stabilize prices within our economy. Now, inflation rose up again, going up 0.3% from December 23 to January 24. This was its biggest spike since September of 2023. The price of goods started to slowly steady, but service costs and prices was what made inflation spike, leading much of the Fed in shock on how to get the interest rates and when to cut them. A lot of analysts predicted that the Fed would be able to cut rates 6 times within this year. Now, the Fed wanted to see disinflation broaden and inflation of goods and services go down, but that hasn't happened for the services part. Many people thought inflation would be stickier within the economy because what has driven inflation, such as vehicle insurance, hospital insurance, and financial services. With both insurances being structured, this is crazy to think about. The Fed's job in this case is not to crash the market, and with inflation increasing on some aspects, that can be hard. The Fed cares about this because they don't want to cut the rates too soon, otherwise we will go into a deep recession again. Now we have a strong economy, and that is what has been holding a lot of our mess together, despite inflation increases. Going on about the markets, they are more fragile at the beginning of 2024 compared to the beginning of 2023. This is interesting because we were coming off a great recession given COVID happened. Now, lastly, with the interpretations that inflation is speeding up, rate cuts won't happen, and that may make it harder for stocks to hold their valuations, which in return will make it harder for investors to determine if a stock is over or undervalued.
Thanks, Liam. I appreciate all that information. For the future, what steps do you think the Fed will or think about taking to change this economic state that we're currently in?
Thank you for the question, Alex. I think that the Fed can use forward guidance to provide clarity on its future policy intentions, which can influence market expectations and consumer behavior. And in times of financial instability, the Fed may undertake measures to ensure the stability of the financial system. As always, got to give my credit. A special thanks to Brian Mena from CNN for providing us with this article on inflation.
And with that, we wrap up the 7th episode of our 4th season. A massive thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. Remember to look out for your fellow Spartans. And as always, go green.
If you enjoyed the discussion, please like and share the podcast on Apple and Spotify. The Spartan Journal podcast is part of Michigan State University's Wealth Management Association, a student organization whose goal is to inspire the next generation of financial advisors. The Spartan Journal news team releases a newsletter every Monday morning comprised of financial literacy and the week's market updates. Feel free to follow us on social media at MSUWMA and check out our website at msuwma.com. Anything heard on either the MSUWMA or Spartan Journal podcasts is for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice.